Hi, welcome to the Java tutorial from rithus.com. In this video, let's look at inheritance and an example program on inheritance. First thing, what is inheritance? Inheritance is basically the facility that a lot of object-oriented programming languages provide, where you can extend the behavior of an already existing class. So you have, let's say, an animal class which has a name, which has a lot of functionality, a lot of methods and a member variable describing the functionality of the animal, and now you'd want to create a kind of an animal which is a cat, for example. You can extend the already existing animal class and only customize whatever functionality is particular to cat. That's basically the reason why there is inheritance in Java. Let's look at a small example. What we are doing here is we have a superclass. I've created something, a simple superclass with public variable, a private variable, and a protected variable. I've just named them as they are because I want to show a little bit later. And I created one method called public method, another one private method, and the other one is protected method. And their access control is exactly as the name indicates. So what we have now is a superclass with a public, private, and protected variables and similar kind of methods. So now let's try and implement inheritance here. So I want to create a subclass for this superclass. So the way you do that is create class, subclass. This is as usual. The keyword is extends. So class subclass extends superclass. So that's all that you need to do to extend a superclass. So this is all that you need to do to extend a class. And now instead of using the superclass, I can actually use subclass is equal to new subclass. And the other thing you see is I'm able to execute a subclass method. So it succeeds. So it's able to execute a public method on the superclass. So even though the subclass doesn't have the method public method, it's actually getting that method from the superclass. Now let's actually create a simple method in the subclass and see what all you would be able to do in there. So I'll say public, I'll leave it at void and call it sample subclass method. So what does it have access to? So does it have access to the public variables? This dot public variable is equal to 5. That's good. It compiled. So you have access to the public variables in the superclass. Let's say if you have access to the private variable, I'll say this dot private variable is equal to 5. What happens? Oops, compilation error. It says the field inheritance example dot superclass dot private variable is not visible. So in methods of the subclass, you'll not be able to access the private variables of the superclass. The only way you'll be able to access it is by probably creating a getter method which is public for this variable, but anything which is private you'll not be able to access from the subclass. Let's now go ahead and see if I'm able to access protected variables. Good. This dot protected variable is equal to 5. That's good. So from a subclass method, I'm able to access public and protected variables. Let's now see if I'm able to invoke the public method. This dot super is the keyword to access something from the parent class. So instead of this, actually I could have used super. That's basically this distinction is useful. Super and this distinction is useful when you have the same variable present in two different, like in both subclass and the superclass. But here, like even when I say super dot public variable and this dot public variable, it refers to the same thing. So you can either say super dot public variable or this dot public variable, doesn't matter. But it's good to use super because you're making it clear that this variable is coming from the super. So I'm able to execute super dot public method. Let's see if I'm able to execute private method. Good. I'm able to execute super dot private method. we are able to access super.private method because in this particular example, super is an inner class. I've created super in a class uh, which is inheritance example. So that's the reason why you are able to access private method from the uh, from the subclass and also from outside. But if the superclass was outside and a class on its own, we would not be able to. Let's just go ahead and do that. Actually, now let's go ahead and paste this. Let's go ahead and paste it here. Okay, if you look at it now, you would see that if a superclass was a class on its own, use the private method. It's just that I'm using it as a inner class here. That's the reason why you're able to access. But in a real world where you would have superclass as a separate class on its own and not as an inner class, you would have a problem. So I'll go ahead with the example using superclass as inner class, but that's something which you'd need to remember forever. And let's see if I'm able to access protected methods. So that's basically what you'd see. Here I'm able to invoke the method. Let's go ahead and just invoke this method and just it doesn't do anything except set the values to 5. Let's assert that also. Assert equals 5 comma subclass dot public variable. Let's run it. I just need to do the input, I think. Yeah, that's good. So now let's run the test and see what happens. Okay, that's perfect. So now you have a clear idea of what you can do from a public, like from a subclass and a superclass. Now let's see how the subclass and superclass can be interchangeably used. For example, now I have a subclass. Subclass is equal to new subclass, and I'm invoking a method on the subclass. Now let's see, I would want to actually now create a superclass instance. Let's zoom in a bit. Okay, what I want to be able to do is actually do a superclass. So the basic thing is if I create a superclass reference, this is called a reference superclass. This is equal to new subclass. That works. So I can say superclass is equal to new subclass. That works. But let's see what methods are available from the superclass method. The methods which are available are public method, private method, and the protected method. But the most important thing is this method will not be available because this method, which is sample subclass method, is actually defined only in the subclass. So through a reference, even though the instance which we are creating is of the subclass, we are storing it in the superclass reference, will not be able to invoke a method using a superclass reference. So a superclass reference cannot be used to invoke a method in the subclass. So that's an important point. You can only through a superclass reference you can only invoke the methods which are present in the superclass. So that's one other important thing about inheritance is in Java you can't use multiple inheritance. That's basically, let's say I have a superclass 2. I'm not doing anything in here. I'm just creating a superclass 2. I can't say I would extend a superclass and a superclass 2. So let's see what the compilation says. It doesn't allow you to extend 2 classes. In Java, you can only extend 1 class. So that's one thing you should always remember. You can only extend 1 class from a class. What is possible in Java is actually that you can extend this subclass and create a superclass, another subclass. So I would say subclass, subclass extends subclass. This is allowed. So now you would see this is allowed, and actually now I can create an instance of this class and call the methods in the subclass, So that's allowed. So if I run this JUnit, it succeeds. So that works. So there you go. We have learned a lot about inheritance in this class. We are creating more videos as we speak, and if you want to stay updated, don't forget to click the subscribe button. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up and feel free to share this video. Thanks for watching. Until next time.